Good afternoon. We've been driving to Naples and back today, testing out the new 3.4.1 software, and I can officially confirm that my steering wheel buttons now fully work. That has been a problem since we picked up the car. It was pretty frustrating problem and a pretty concerning problem safety-wise, I felt. So I do feel bad that Lucid replaced my steering wheel, but now the issue is solved, so I'm very happy about that. There's a few new features they added, but mostly it was bug fixes, and I think they really did a good job. The car feels much more reliable, much more stable, quicker to boot up, everything's faster to move around. So I'm going to go through the list real quick because it's so many things I just can't keep them on top of my head. Starting with the key fob. So I was having my key fob die every 2 weeks. That has hopefully been resolved. I put in a new battery and we'll see. But I think so. Passive entry and exit performance. I turned that off, but I was having a lot of issues where it would turn itself back on. So hopefully it seems already to remember settings better. Things like massage seats and even heated and cooled seats, it now remembers what strength you had it set to between times. So no, it's fine. So, no, it's okay. No, it's no problem. So the passive entry and exit problem, hopefully that no longer turns itself back on. Oh, looks like they're bringing some school kids here for an event. Key card reliability. For me, I never actually had a problem with the key card. The key card was the only thing that worked for a while. So I never had a problem dropping the key card in there. And after 3.3.2, that also helped. And so if you were having problems with that, I'd definitely give this a try. The new features are see-through vehicle display. So when you come here on the screen, you can now tap transparent, and as you drive, it'll show underneath. It won't really show while you're parked, but when we go out, I'll show that a little more. Surreal Sound Pro does have a new configuration, so you can come into here and set your immersion. Now I can show that a little bit, but the windows are open, so I'm not sure it's going to make that much of a difference. That's probably something I'll have to test out separately because I don't think that's going to come out on this microphone. The second row, you can now control that from the new multifunction button, which is a huge, huge improvement. So they did improve the Dream Drive Pro system overall. It's a lot smoother, things like that. But unfortunately, my system still thinks a straight line is a curved road, so I still have issues with my system. But overall, it is less kind of jerky and less overly sensitive. The camera system quality has also been improved, so you can't show it while it's in park, of course, but just in general, the cameras are clearer, the refresh rate's better. Overall, there's a little bit less distortion, not a huge change in the distortion, but it's just clearer overall, better motion. So a big thing that I have had, which was improved in 3.3.2 but not fixed fully, is you would get in the car, the temperature outside was 70 degrees, you had the air conditioner set to about 72 or similar, and it would just blast you full speed with ice cold air. That does not happen anymore. The air starts up much more calmly, much more quiet, and at a much more appropriate temperature. So I use automatic climate control for everything, and it does work significantly better. And I didn't necessarily see it marked on the list per se, as far as I could see. But no longer does the rear climate system turn itself on. This was a huge problem for me. It would always turn itself on. No matter what I did, I would get in the car, it would be on again. If I used features like sync and auto, it would turn it back on. It no longer does that. So huge benefit for me is that the rear no longer turns itself on. They have also improved things like the automatic defog, which in a humid climate, that does help. Another bug fix is the light strips. They remember the color choice. A lot of people picked up on that very early when the car was still very new, that you would set your color and then it would change to a different color later. Even little things like they did mention, such as whistling out of the climate control system. I did have that and I could never quite figure out where it was coming from. Sometimes it sounded like the vents, sometimes it sounded like up there, but like I said earlier, it's much quieter, much more smooth and consistent for the air conditioner system, so very good. The infotainment overall is improved, just the sheer speed of things. Switching between menus is much improved, so very good performance here. I had a lot of issues. For example, switching between these two screens would often lock up and not show the seats at all. All of that's been resolved. They reduced the size of the traffic lights and things like that, so the map is much more readable than it was before at a glance. And they also added new charging stations into the system to keep it all up to date, which is really nice on a trip. They did also improve the window controls. So before, you could kind of hit the button halfway and the window would actually roll down the opposite way. But now it's very consistent, and it even feels, the button itself feels more responsive, but the window speed is the same, but the button's more responsive. Bluetooth connectivity. Now, a lot of people have the Bluetooth problems, especially with calls. Personally, I've not really ever had a Bluetooth issue in this car, and I've actually never had a phone call issue in the Air or the Gravity, so I just seem to have gotten lucky for that. I've always found making calls in these cars are very easy and quiet and never got any complaints. The Halo Secure is more reliable. Now, we've all been kind of trying to figure out if Halo Secure video quality is better. We don't know, but definitely going through my phone for the surround view, that looks clear to me. And then they did fix some things around charging, better thermal performance in hot weather. So I think that'll help me out here in the summertime, and just remove some errors from the AC and DC chargers, things like that. Nothing huge that I don't think a lot of people were having day to day, but definitely mattered over time. So I can definitely say that this was a much needed update, and I am more than happy to wait on the other features like CarPlay to get the base system optimized. It feels really good now. I think this will put a lot more confidence in people who are looking at the car or who just have it and have been frustrated for a while. I think this is going to give all of the owners a more even playing field that we can then figure out, okay, what's the next issues to tackle. The only thing that I have remaining, whoops, I hate doing that. When you select your device, it actually unselects it. One of my complaints still is contrast. So there's not enough contrast between it. Yes, it says connected, but there's no contrast between a device that's on and not on. And that applies even in things like climate. The contrast is just not enough. So even if you turn the system on, there's still bugs like the auto will be grayed out even though it's actually active. But just looking at a glance, it's a little bit too gold on a gold-ish background, and I would tweak that a little bit, but that's really minor, not something urgent. Yeah, so overall excellent features, and as we go out, I'll just show that everything's working now. So for example, we can take off here and I can put the car in transparent mode. And then as we start to drive away, it's going to watch under the car and add that feature so you can see where you're crossing over and the car becomes a ghost. So as you say, go up next to this curb here, it just gives you a little bit better of an idea, like, okay, how much space do I actually have? I do find that kind of nice, even just around a bit. Now, as we get up, I'm going to show the activation for Dream Drive. Perfect. So one time on, don't worry about your belt. One time off, one time on, one time off. So yes, it's so much better. Sorry about that. He's going to get his seatbelt on. And yeah, I think this is a great update for the Gravity, and I think people will really enjoy just getting to a point where things are more reliable. That's important for everyone. So I hope y'all have a great week, and this weekend coming up, I will be hosting a small event at the Iona station in Bradenton, Florida. That'll be from 12 to 2, and then I'll try to be there a little extra. So I will post about that in a text post as well, but if you are in the Bradenton, Florida area or anywhere around, you can come out and get a discounted charging rate of 20 cents per kilowatt hour, which is pretty great, and come get some swag from them as well. So hope to see y'all then, and check in with y'all later.